Will you all please be seated? Whatever the mind can conceive or believe, the mind can achieve. Whatever the mind can conceive or believe, the mind can achieve. Welcome friends, faculty, and most importantly, my family, to one of the most nerve-wracking experiences I will ever have. I hope you enjoy. The quote I began with is one I heard years back in a documentary that I have no idea the name of and could not tell you the name of the author. Yet that quote has been the biggest driving force in my life since I've heard it. I knew when I got the theme of integrity for my chapel speech, I would have to include it. Integrity. Think about it to yourself. Got a definition? Well, good for you, because I couldn't give you one if my life depended on it. That's all right, because I think I can describe it, even if I can't define it. Would you ever steal a car? Likely not. Would you ever cheat on a test? Nope. Probably would stay away from that. Would you ever rob a bank? Marc, what are you talking about? No. Well, what about if you were a bystander while a friend of yours was bullying someone else? What would you do? Or if your friend started vandalizing private property, would you stop them? Or if your friend asked for your assignment because he had a crazy busy week, forgot all about it, and is now pleading with you to help him out, just this one time, what about then? See, these are the situations where integrity comes into play, specifically your moral compass, the way you are programmed, or the way you perceive situations. We are all wired differently, and I can't tell you what is right and what is wrong, because there is no ultimate answer. It all depends on you. What I dislike about the word integrity is people view the word for only half its merits. There is a whole other side to integrity that I want to speak to you about today. You see, the integrity we often come across, we act on because of others, because of how we know we should act based upon society's rules. This means that you're only living to please the people around you, not yourself. There's a whole other side to integrity, something I like to call self-integrity. Self-integrity means acting in a way that makes you happy. It means making choices in your life that allow you to be happy with you. It is knowing that you can look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, "Good job, Marc, proud of you." These actions must make you happy, and you have to make your world the best it can be. Self-integrity is being true to yourself. However, as I was thinking about this speech, I realized that this entire idea is hypothetical, an idea I thought of to myself and not something I could prove to you or anyone else. It seemed to be more of a vague mental attitude. So, I came to the conclusion that the only way to make my idea valid is through hard evidence. So where would this proof come from? Science. One of my dad's favorite movies is What the Bleep Do We Know? A movie combining the ideas of quantum physics and human consciousness. It's kind of like an Einstein and Sagan meet Freud and Jung. A fascinating mix. Well, over the March break, I rewatched it in hopes of discovering something that would solidify this idea I had. And in the first 30 minutes, I had my answer. The movie had moved on to the topic of perception and how each person's perception varies from the next. With this topic came the classic double-slit experiment that exemplifies the duality of light and how it can act as both a wave and a particle. However, there was a slight twist. The basic double-slit experiment is set up with a light source, shooting electrons at a thin plate that has slits to let the electrons pass, and a screen behind the plate, essentially catching the electrons. First, the plate has a single slit that the electrons pass through. The pattern you see on the screen is exactly what you would expect. A line of electrons directly where they pass through the slit, essentially acting as a particle. Next, the plate has two slits that the electrons pass through that caused an interference pattern on the screen. This meant the electrons had to have been acting as a wave to cause such a pattern and actually gone through both slits at the same time. But this was all knowledge beforehand, so here's where the twist came in. The scientists decided to peek at which slit the electrons actually travel through by placing a counter behind one of the slits. Problem was, when they began firing electrons through the slits, they changed back to acting as particles, not waves, creating a line of dots on the screen. Now, some of you are looking at me like you're in a Mr. Wu physics lecture, so let me sum it up as simply as I can. The electrons changed their path when someone or something was perceiving them. So electrons, or in a greater sense, matter, changes when someone looks at it. Pretty crazy, don't you think? Let me give you an example in this chapel to show what I mean. Let's take this beautiful eagle podium I'm standing behind. Currently, all of you perceive me, and I'm standing behind the podium. Simple enough? But what happens when I stand in front of the podium? In all of your worlds, nothing has changed. You still perceive me and the podium. Now I'm just standing in front of the podium. However, in my world, that podium could or could not exist. The particles that compose the eagle you're all looking at behind me could be in an infinite number of locations in the universe. In your reality, the eagle exists. In my reality, it could or it could not. I don't know. So, how does this all relate to self-integrity, or integrity in general? Well, I started my speech with the quote, "Whatever the mind can conceive or believe, the mind can achieve," and also said that self-integrity is acting in a way that makes you happy with you. Well, I realized that if we apply the way matter works to self-integrity, we can work into creating a world that makes us happy. If our world is changing all around us when we don't see it, we have the power to make the world we perceive into anything we want. If we were to apply this mentality to a day in our life, we would start by waking up in bed. At this junction, we can make our reality, our universe, our day ahead of us, either into a great day or a bad day, because we would have all the control. It's an empowering idea that, for me, is very motivating. Now, there is a catch-22, or a double-edged sword with this concept. For this idea to be understood and applied, both the positives and the negatives must be known. The positive notion is that we control our own fate and have the capacity to make our days and our life amazing. But what about when you have a bad day? Say you fail a test, don't make a team you wanted. That's where the issue arises. Because we are in control of our own life, the bad things that happen to us are also in our control. How we act in the face of adversity is the epitome of self-integrity. We have the ability to make a bad situation into a good one, but we nearly never have the strength to do so. So then the blame falls onto us when we have a bad day, because we could have made it into a better one. But we didn't. We have to take responsibility because it is our world. Take Tomogamy as an example. I didn't go into Tomogamy thinking it would be fun. I am not an outdoors kid. I have never camped before, and I was dreading it for weeks. My type of mentality probably comprises about 90% of the kids that go to Temagami. The other 10% go in thinking it is going to be great, wanting to have fun, wanting to enjoy the experience. It is this 10% who have the mentality of having a good trip that exemplify self-integrity. They didn't wallow in their situation. They met every challenge with a smile, an open mind, and they loved every second of it. I stated that self-integrity means making you happy above all else. It means that at the end of the day, it is you versus you. We can make excuses or blame other things in our life, but we will always have our reflection in the mirror, staring back at us, motivating us, telling us we can do better. Life is about becoming the best version of you, not anyone else. Self-integrity is trying to make that you happy, so you can be proud of the person you are, the person you define yourself to be. All the other influences in your life change, fade, or disappear completely. The only thing you can always rely on, know will be there, and stay true is you. Now will you all please stand and sing hymn 578, O Healing River.